Okay, the ingredients are chicken, of course. I like the roaster chickens because they got better flavor. Celery, carrots, and onion, or otherwise known as mirepoix. Garlic. I don't see anything wrong with crushed garlic already. It saves time. Big old pot. Bunch of water. Salt. I like kosher. Pepper. Magic soda if you really want to. And that's pretty much all you need to make the chicken stock, which is the first thing we're going to do in our chicken. First thing we're going to do is put the chicken in a pot. Cut it open. Drain out any chickeny goodness. And dump it in a pot. Has one of these, throw it away. You don't need it. It's stupid. Wash your hands. Next thing we're going to do is chop our veggies. You need a good sized knife and your veggies. For this you don't need good veggies, so you can pretty much use, for the stock anyway, all the pieces you don't normally eat. Check it. You're going to want to rinse this because it can have all kinds of dirt and stuff on it. Throw that in the pot. Take this, okay. You have all these, and you don't normally eat the ends. Just take it, chop the ends off. It ain't gonna be pretty because it's all just gonna cook down. This, you munch on while you're cooking. You can't cook without munching. That's just the way it is. Oh. This, you don't feel like cutting, just break it apart. That's all you gotta do. Next for the onions. This onion is good. Just cut it in quarters. Get some of the paper away. It ain't that big of a deal because we're gonna strain all this off anyway. Throw it in there. Sam likes a lot of onions, so we're gonna use a lot of onions. Once again, just quarter it. You can slice it more if you want. I'm going to cook this for about 2 hours, so it's not going to make that big of a difference. Then, let's toss it in the pot. Take the carrots. One for you. Throw a couple handfuls in there. If you have whole carrots, just roughly chop them. Throw them in here, about 3 or 4 of them. Last but not least, it's a little weird, but I like cucumber in my chicken broth. Once you try it, I think you will too. All I could find was this humongoid cucumber, but any cucumbers will work. See, it's a normal cucumber, just huge. Just roughly chop it. roughly chop it, throw it in the pot. Like I said, we're going to strain all this anyway, so it don't really matter. Woo! Them onions are potent. Them, the way I like to do it, just a little bit of salt, not a whole lot. Well, there's about 3 tablespoons maybe. I can measure when I'm making Alfredo, but when you're making chicken stock, ain't a lot to measure. Remember, this is just their stock seasoning, so I know most Texans like their chicken and dumplings pretty peppery. We're just doing a little bit now. You can also just throw some whole peppercorns in there, but I don't have any and I don't feel like busting this thing open. Then, if you have it, good pinch of magic syrup, because I put it in a lot of stuff, because it's magic. Then, get it up. You don't want it all the way up to the top of the veggies, just mainly up to the top of the veggies. Because the veggies are going to shrink down a lot when they cook, and you don't want your chicken broth too diluted. Right about there. Where's a spoon? You'll notice the water's not all the way up to the top, but it's close. We turn the burner on high, put the pot on, cover it until it starts boiling. Once it starts boiling, we turn it down to medium-low for about an hour and a half until the chicken's completely done and the veggies are pretty much mushy. Okay. Okay, Sam's relief's not getting home soon, so I guess I gotta do this part myself too. As you can see, our chicken stock has been boiling away. It's a little bit above medium-low at like 3. And the chicken's fully cooked right now. So since the chicken is fully cooked, I'm going to take the chicken out and debone it so that it doesn't get overcooked. And then we're going to put the bones back in and finish our stock for about half an hour or so, just to get some of that bony goodness, thicking it up. Any messiness we might have. I'm going to put that there. Take my trusty wooden spoon, and if you're lucky, you can find the chicken's butt. This might be a 2-spoon job. 1 spoon in the butt, 1 spoon on the head. And just drain as much juice off as you can. And transfer it to a colander or a bowl or something, because it's got to cool down for a minute. See all our tasty goodness in there? It can still cook down a little more. We just don't want to overcook our chicken, because that's what we're going to put in our chicken and dumplings. So we're going to put it back on the stove, leaving it at about 3 or 4. Lid back on it, and let our chicken cool down. Chicken. Okay, as you can see, we have our chicken deboned. And bubbly pot bubbling. So the last 15 or 30 minutes or whatever, we're going to throw these bones back up in there. Give it a little bit of a stir. A bit of a taste. You can adjust the salt a little bit now if you want. Just get it however you like it. The way the final seasoning is going to be whenever we put the dumplings and everything together. but you can get it close right now. Okay, cooking the bones a little bit longer is going to get a lot of the gelatin type stuff out of them and really thicken it up pretty good at the end. But not too long, because we're not making a stock, it's more a broth, but it's kind of in between because that's how I like to do it. Okay, it's now been about half an hour since I added the bones back, and I've turned off the burner and let it come to a not boil. As you can see, all the veggies are cooked down pretty good. The bones are all falling apart, and this is giving up about all the goodness it's going to give up. It tastes delicious. So what we're going to do is strain this off into another pan. Though you can also use a big old bowl, but my bowls aren't this big, so that way we just finish it off in this pan instead of having this huge stock pot. And slowly pour it. Remember, this is very hot. You can do it in stages. Another thing, if you haven't already cut your chicken into nice bite-sized pieces and stick it in the fridge. It's going to be a minute. Get out your leftover carrots and celery sticks. We're going to throw a little bit more of that in there just to give us some veggie goodness. Go ahead and finish pouring this. Watch out, it is very hot. If you want it to be even cleaner broth, you can always use one of these, but I find this works just fine. Okay, once you have that, stick it back on the burner. You could also make this chicken broth and freeze it so that whenever you want it, you have it. It's good for anything. Okay, now for the veggies.